You know, the other day I was going to make a big, beautiful production out of this whole thing. I had some stuff on my mind, and I think sometimes it's really a cool thing to do, to share your personal issues, you know, like your genuine, most honest self. But I don't think I'm going to turn it into a big, beautiful production. I think I'm just going to show you 4 or 5 little clips that I shot, which were kind of vlog style, just giving you my thoughts. Yeah, because, you know, I woke up this morning, I saw that the actress Susan Sarandon was dropped by her agency because of her thoughts on Gaza and Israel, and I'm like, really? Like, this is the United States of America. Like, I don't believe that Susan Sarandon was like, yay, terrorists, you know? Like, I think she was probably bemoaning the deaths of children and elderly people and the innocent people on the ground who have nothing to do with the war, really, other than they're the victims. So anyway, I know there were other people dropped by their agencies too, and I'm like, what country are we living in? Like, what is going on? So anyway, I don't know if that's really directly related to what I'm about to show you, but I'm just going to let it play because I think it's, first of all, I think it looked pretty cool, you know, because I'm working with this Minolta 35mm Rokkor lens. This is an old used lens, and I love using these old lenses. We call them vintage lenses, but they're just old and used, and I love the way they look, and you know, all manual. So I'm manually focusing myself right now, which I always do. And so I also did a test because this thing looks amazing in low light. It's incredible, and obviously it looks great during the day, but at night it's very special. So anyway, here's a vlog style video showing you the Minolta 35mm f2.8 lens with my Panasonic S5, but more importantly, some of my genuine thoughts, if anybody cares. So, alright. And then I promise I'll do better on the next one. I'm actually getting ready to get out of town tomorrow too, so kind of in a rush. But I'm making a special video on my trip too, so that'll be fun. So anyway, check it out. You know, I've been conducting a test. You know, there are definitely certain types of videos that people on YouTube like, and then there are certain types of videos that people on YouTube don't like, at least in the space that I've been running in. I noticed that when I do a video that's just about photography and I'm having fun and I'm running around talking about autofocus or stabilization or something like that, or lenses, you know, people like that, you know, especially if I work hard and I really do a lot of B-roll and I get some cool transitions, and, you know, people like that. And that's cool, you know, because it's people's hobby or it's their profession and people are into that kind of thing. But I notice that when I do videos about things that really matter, like when I talk about social issues or political issues or things like, you know, like racism or gentrification or misogyny, stuff like that, people don't want to hear it. They turn it off. They turn away. And this is a metaphor for my life, because I have been told many times, you're too much. Like, do we really have to talk about this today? Like, why do we have to deal with this? But I'm just saying, the world is falling apart. So I think it's time we should talk about it. So let's get to the next place. I mean, I have literally lost friends because I stand up against racism or, you know, misogyny or whatever. Like, literally, I've had people like ghost me, push me out of their lives because they're telling me, you're too intense, you're too much, I just can't deal with it. Like, I don't want to talk about this all the time. But guess what? Look at the world right now. Look at what's happening in this country. Look what's happening in Gaza. Look what's happening when it comes to prejudice, you know, when it comes to hate crimes, when it comes to basically everything that's going on around the entire world right now. I mean, you don't want to talk about it? Like, nobody really wants to talk about it. But pretty soon it's going to be too late. So I think we need to talk about it all the time. And you know what? I've dedicated my life to it, you know, for as long as I am old enough to decide what to dedicate my life to. I have dedicated my work to it, and I just think it's important. So if I have to sacrifice my personal life, I guess I've kind of done that, but that's okay because it's important to me. I mean, look, I get it. You know, like, I do understand that some people, maybe most people, don't want to deal with this kind of shit all the time, you know, and I also understand that if you happen to be a black person or Asian or Native or Latino or Latina, or, you know, if you happen to be Muslim, if you happen to be any other, in America at least, you know, you have no choice. Like, you live this, you know, it's your existence, you know. People are treating you in a certain kind of way, society, like, you got to deal with it all the time, you know, whether it's hostile or just, you know, subtle. It's just your existence. And so I'm sure being around somebody like me just is like, really? I got to deal with this guy? But the amazing thing is that the very thing that attracts people attracts me to people. Like, what you find attractive about me is the very thing that makes you hate me after a while. And I think what it is that most people are not really inclined to want to be activists, you know? Like, you know, just because you're black or white or a man or a woman or whatever, it doesn't mean that you have this thing in you that wants to, like, stand up or stick up for people all the time or scream about injustice, or, you know, not everybody feels that way. Not everybody has to feel that way. You know, it's like, it's not a requirement for life. And so if you're other, you kind of have to live this way. But if you're white, it's like a choice, you know, like, I guess I chose when I was little to be this way. It's just like embedded in my spirit now. It's always been this way for me. But, you know, I don't have to be this way. I don't live the same existence as, you know, people of color or women or trans people or whatever, you know, like anybody who's oppressed. So it's weird, you know, it's like complicated, and I do understand. But I don't like it. And it makes me feel unloved, I guess, you know, which sounds weird, but, you know, it just makes me feel like, you think, you know, a lot of people come to me, right? Like, I seem to attract people, and I always think to myself, you think you can like me, you think you can love me, but once you get to know me, I'm going to be too much for you. You're not going to want to hear from me, and I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not, you know, that part of me is the part of me that I think is the best part of me, actually. It's what I like the most about me. And so it is what it is. But it doesn't feel good most of the time. So at the end of the day, I think you just have to be who you are. You know, like, you can't change for anybody. I mean, unless you're a total asshole, annoying everybody and, you know, disruptive to people's lives. And maybe I am that to a certain extent for certain people. But I guess you have to choose whether to change the foundation and the very essence of who you are just to stay in other people's lives, or continue to be who you are and find your own tribe and keep fighting the fight, you know, keep speaking on the things that you feel are important. In my case, keep making art about it. Yeah, stand on it. That's what I'm about. You know, I'm all about it. And if you can't include me in your life because of that, so be it. I'm okay with that. Get in line. I'm used to it. You know, all anybody wants in life is to be accepted and understood. I think everybody wants that. But sometimes it's not easy to find that, and you have to stay open and keep your eyes open and your arms wide open for it. But I think what's most important is to have empathy and to be genuine, be true to yourself. Because I think anything else is just a recipe for disaster and sadness and not a good existence. So in my case, I'm going to keep being who I am. I'm going to keep doing the work that I do. And I'm going to keep living my life the way I live it. And those who don't like it or those who aren't comfortable with me, they won't be in my life, But what's funny is I know they'll keep coming to my shows. That's pretty funny. Keep watching my movies. Because they troll. Because they know that I have their best interest at heart, that I really do care, that I really do love them. And that's the most important thing in life. I'm not going to lose that. So, yeah, that's my little vlog for the day. I just kind of had it on my mind because, I've had a few people just slip out of my life lately, and I think it has everything to do with the state of the world. And a lot of people, especially in the United States, just don't want to deal with it. They just don't want to talk about any of it. The path to our next election, Israel and Gaza, all the shootings that are going on in this country. Personally, I think now is the most important time of our lifetime to talk about it constantly, to try to figure out how to make it better. How to keep this train from crashing that we're living on, because it's headed for a crash. So I think if we just stick our heads in the sand and we just make believe it's not happening, that ain't it. So yeah, I guess I've felt a little sad. I've had people disappear, and that's okay. And like I often say, here's to a better world for all of us, and thanks for following me around all day. This was probably the most boring video I've ever made, but it was from my heart, and I appreciate everybody who supports me and who loves me. It means a lot. All right, see you soon. Keep fighting the good fight.